Hey everybody, wildlife at its finest here, and welcome to Olympic National Park. Hey everybody, it is
Wildlife at its finest here. Thank you for watching this video.
Alright, so if you guys watch all of our videos, you guys know that we have been at Olympic National Park, and it has been an absolute blast. It has been amazing.
It was absolutely beautiful.
It was. And so, this video is an overview completely of the park. The other videos were separate based off the 3 parts of the park, which we'll get into that in this video if you have not watched. Those other ones, go ahead, they're in more detail of the specific location of the park, but all of them are amazing. But, so, a couple things that I want to talk about here is how the park is laid out. It's a lot different, more diverse than any other park that I've ever been to. This park has 3 major areas, I should say. It has.
And they're all their own. They have all of their own features.
Yes, so there is Hurricane Ridge, the Hoh Rainforest, and the beach area. There's Ruby Beach and a couple other beaches. But they're all extremely different. As you can see right now, this is Hurricane Ridge. Hoh Rainforest will come up next, and then the tide pools will come up after that.
So you look at how beautiful this is. This is pulling your car up right into a parking spot. As you can tell, we're on the sidewalk, but it's absolutely beautiful.
So the layout of this park is definitely diverse. The one negative thing about this park is every single part of the park is not connected. There is no roads to get between the park. So every time you're in Hurricane Ridge and say you want to go to Hoh Rainforest, you actually have to leave the park, go down, and it's probably another hour drive to the next exit to where you can get into Hoh Rainforest. So why is that a negative thing? Is because it's very hard to do this park in a short amount of time. I mean, you can't do Hurricane Ridge and Hoh Rainforest in one day. Which might be a good thing, it might slow you down, but at the same time, if you're just trying to drive through, you won't be able to get the full thing of this park in one day. It's not possible because of the driving you have to do from one part of the park to the other. Another thing I want to talk about is the signing. Signing is huge. It's very important when you're going around a park because maybe you don't know how to get there or there's no one to ask. So signing is. There's a couple signs on the road, but for the most part, you're going to want to go by either get a map from the visitor center. Another thing is service. I have AT&T. It depends on what holder you have, but I did not have service for most of the park at all. Sam has Verizon, so hers was a little different. How was yours?
It was a little bit better, but it was not nearly as good as we needed it to be or expected it to be. So you guys have to definitely be prepared for that.
Yeah, because a lot of people go off GPS on their phone if they're going on road trips. But when you get into a park like this and there's no service, you can't just pull it up and figure out how to get to the next spot. So a map, maybe even buy the more expensive map that has more detail to the roads, including off-roads, 4-row roads, dirt roads, and main highways.
And those are
probably
very
a good
handy.
idea.
Yeah.
Yes, very handy, especially if you love doing off-roading. They have detailed off-roading maps in the visitor center, which is very helpful. All right, so another thing I want to talk about is the extra areas in Olympic National Park. There's the main 3, of course, but at the other time, there's like little streets on this on the freeway that you can take to get into the other parts of the park, such as there's Big Cedar, which was this massive cedar tree, but it wasn't even just one tree. There's so much water in the Olympic National Park that it actually is grows not even having to be in the ground. So they're all linked together. It's multiple trees twisted together, making one huge tree, basically. Another thing is Deer Park. We weren't able to go up because we were taking Sam's Volkswagen and it was a dirt road. It was getting a little too dicey, but if you have a higher lifted vehicle or a four-wheel drive vehicle, you can definitely take it, no problem. Another one is Crescent Lake. It is the massive lake right next to Olympic National Park. You can go ahead, walk around it, take a drive around it. Absolutely gorgeous lake. Super pretty, very large. Just a very nice lake, free to get into. at least drive around, and it's a good way to spend your time. Another one is Solduck River, SOLDUC. It's a little nice drive, absolutely free. There is no tenders in it. They're just an open road that you can drive down. A couple hikes, nice little hikes. Maybe you can bring a wheelchair if it's not too wet. And then now I want to get over some of the other little things. I'm going to go through each part of each park and give some details about it. The first part of the park that we went to was Hurricane Ridge. We went there on day one, and we went to Solduck River on day one. We were not for sure how to exactly plan out this video. That is why I'm making this video, and so other people have this resource to plan out their video trip. So we went to Hurricane Ridge, and the views up here are crazy good. They are so good that it just is jaw-dropping, breathtaking views of the ridge and the mountain views. Wildlife up here is good. I wouldn't say it's great, but it is definitely good. You have the deers up here, and you have the Olympic marmots. The deers are very up close and personal. There's a lot of them, and they are everywhere. They are close, but not too close. Remember, do not feed the animals, please. They have to live for their own and know how to live in the wild, just in case something happens. The views, again, amazing. Just absolutely stunning. The crowds here were not bad at all. Crowds anywhere in the park were not bad. I have a ranking system that I'm going to go over in a little bit, talking about all that. The hiking trails here were good. They a lot of elevated, a lot of climbing, of course, as you're in the mountain area. So make sure you are ready for that. Pack light if you can, because it is very steep. We did not do no backpacking or overnight super long hikes, so I'm not sure what those are like, but the little hikes just around the area are great, and they get you higher up, and you can see even better views than the parking lot, which that's hard to beat. That's pretty much for Hurricane Ridge. It's a large parking lot that you can park in. Oh, they also have a shop there with food and clothing items. With hot chocolate and coffee are the main things. Hot chocolate was amazing. Sam got a mocha coffee. It was pretty cold, and we even went in June, and it was still pretty cold. So make sure you bring a sweater. But yeah, I had hot chocolate, very good, and Sam had a mocha coffee, and she liked it a lot. So food there is pretty good. They did have nachos and hot dogs. Next one I want to talk about is Hoh Rainforest, which is where we are at right now. We're on Hoh River Trail. The Hoh River, and it is absolutely amazing river. It is something that you would see at the very tip of Alaska, it seems like. But we're out having lunch. The Hoh Rainforest, as wildlife goes, it's very bare. We did not see absolutely anything. There's been times where people see elk crossing the river, which if we saw that, it would just make this park, top notch next to Yellowstone. But we did not see the huge herds of elk that you can see. But from what we saw, I think the only sort of wildlife or animal that we've seen in the Hoh Rainforest was a couple slugs. And that is it. I mean, you can hear the birds. You can, there's a lot of amphibian life is very good because of how moist it is, but it is also pretty cold, so you won't see a lot of frogs. But a lot of slugs and possibly a lot of salamanders you will be able to see in this part of the park. So, and as the slug pops up on the screen, that is a black slug. That's about it, though. I mean, you don't expect to see a lot of wildlife in the Hoh Rainforest. Hoh Rainforest, crowds-wise, was the busiest part of the park, in my opinion. We took the Hoh River Trail, which awesome trail. Trails, it was so much fun. It was fun trekking around, getting through the mud and the bushes, and it was a lot of fun. So trails, top notch, amazing part of the park was the trails in Hoh Rainforest. The views here are almost as good as the ones in Hurricane Ridge. I mean, there's obviously not a mountain view, but just the wet, rainy, green lush that is in this park is like something you have never seen before. It is so much green. Everywhere you turn around, it's just massive trees, big bushes, green. it's beautiful. As someone kind of living from Southern California, where we do not have a lot of rain at all, it's otherworld like how much green there can be. It's awesome. Another thing I want to say about the Hoh Rainforest is watch out. Make sure you are bringing boots because your feet are definitely going to be muddy. It is walking in like a swamp in some places, so make sure you bring some high boots. If you can actually spray some water protection over them, that would be the best to make sure that they do not get wet. I use Kiwi water boot proof. You can buy it at Walmart or Amazon or Bass Pro Shops. Any major place will have it. Make sure you bring, if you don't have a hoodie or a poncho or a rain thing, make sure you maybe bring an umbrella if you're going on a couple short hikes because it will rain. We went during the dry seasons of July and it was still raining on us. So expect rain, expect water. Make sure you get ready for both of those. Let's go on to the next part of the park is the tide pools. Now the tide pools are unlike anything else. They were insane. They were crazy gorgeous. And one thing that the tide pools were very different from the rest of the park, well, obviously they're a beach, but the wildlife there was close to Yellowstone wildlife. I mean, we were sitting down there and we couldn't even find a place to sit because there were so many starfish, so many sea cucumbers, and it's just stuff like that was spread everywhere. You cannot miss it, but you have to figure out when low tide is. We went with low tide and it was absolutely stunning. But as we were leaving, high tide was coming up and a lot of the rocks and animals that we've seen were getting covered up. So make sure you can go either call or look up a chart about the high tide and low tides time for Olympic National Park. Make sure you go during low tide. You'll be able to see the most wildlife out of it. Here, I mean, the wildlife is probably the best thing about the tide pools. Sorry, we went to a beach called Ruby Beach. There's multiple other beaches that we did not go to, assuming they're just as good as Ruby Beach. And it's awesome. The tide pools is a must. We were down there for the whole day. We went almost from sunrise to sunset looking at wildlife, and it was awesome. The whole time it was awesome. So make sure you do a lot of planning before this park because the park is different than most other planning. Don't just be like, oh, I want to go to Olympic, type it in and go. Make sure you do your research because there's a lot of different areas in the park that, it takes a lot. This park was a lot different to plan than other parks, say the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone. Now, one thing I wanted to go off before I end talking, and I will just let the video keep going, and you guys can go ahead and watch the rest with some music. And I want to do a ranking system. I'm going to do this with every national park that we go to, and it's going to be based off of 4 main categories in my opinion. We got wildlife, views, hiking trails, and crowds. I think those are the 4 most important things that build a national park. Obviously, all these things can be diverse. You can go to Olympic, say, and then you can go to Joshua Tree. Now, the wildlife there is going to be absolutely different, but wildlife could be just as good in Joshua Tree as it could be in Olympic. So, I'm going to do a 1 to 5, sorry. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And what I'm going to give you a comparison of right now for wildlife, it's Yellowstone is a 5. That is a cold, hard 5. You get wildlife everywhere, and everyone knows about Yellowstone. Okay, so what I'm getting wildlife for Olympic National Park is a 3. And only because of that is because Hoh Rainforest, in my opinion, I would give it a 2, maybe a 1. This is based off of my opinion. If you've been to the Hoh Rainforest and see massive herds of elk crossing the river, you'll probably give it a 5. But for us, all we saw was a slug. That's all we seen in Hoh Rainforest, but Hoh Rainforest was still awesome because of the views. So I'm going to give it a 3 because Hurricane Ridge had the deer, and it was that was cool. And then the tide pools had wildlife everywhere, so that is why it is getting a 3. It's going to be right in the middle. Views, 5. 100% a 5. The green, the mountains, the beaches, it is one of the most beautiful parks I have been to. I might even say number 1, and I've been to Yellowstone. And a lot of people say Yellowstone is the best park overall, and I would probably agree with them. I would probably agree with them a lot, actually. Yellowstone was amazing. But I think views, just by itself, this might take the cake. I mean, it does not have the Grand Canyon or a Grand Canyon like Yellowstone does. But the views here, for some reason, made my breath or my jaw drop more than the views in Yellowstone. Now, what I need to do is go back to Yellowstone because the way that it was planned out was good, but at the same time, I want some more time in the park itself. Crowds, I'm going to give it a 2. Maybe because of the thing that is going around that we're not allowed to say on YouTube, as you know what it is. People just don't want to go outside. People don't want to go to parks. But the views here, the crowds here were great. Not a lot of people. It was sometimes just me and Sam in a certain area for the longest time. And that's good. I was thinking crowds are probably a 4. Sorry, I was thinking 2 being the less crowds, the better. Crowds are probably a 4, meaning good crowds, not a lot of people. So crowds are good. Don't have to worry about a whole bunch of people. Besides maybe the whole rainforest had quite a bit of people, but tide pools, Hurricane Ridge, there was people, but not a lot of them. Hiking trails. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 4. I think hiking trails here were absolutely amazing. We got a lot of hiking trails that you can, for experienced hikers, handicap hikers, wheelchair accessible hikers, and even little kids and elderly. It's a very round place, a very, very rounded, good place to hike. As I was saying, lots of easy places, lots of hard places if you want the challenge. But I think that is everything I have to talk about Hoh Rainforest. Now, I'm just going to say this. Hoh Rainforest is a must-go national park for everyone. If you're starting to get into your national park journeys, if you are a veteran and have not been there yet, then it is somewhere that you need to go on the top of your list. Make sure you plan for a whole week. In my opinion, is the best you can get out of this park. You can do the park in 3 days because I suggest getting a whole day for Hurricane Ridge, a whole day to the Hoh Rainforest, and a whole day to the tide pools. So that is my opinion. At least 3 days, but we were there for 5, and honestly, I would like a couple more days just to get every single little thing because this park has so much to offer. Definitely make your trip. Plan it right now if you guys can. Just get out, enjoy God's creation, have a blast. I hope you guys have a great day. The video will not end here. There's a couple more things and clips that you guys want to go ahead and watch. Listen to the music. Have a good one. Everything here is absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.